Cadet Peter Ventura, National VIPs, President and Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Philippines. He is Rodrigo Rua Duterte, Secretary of National Defense, Honorable Delfin Negrillo Lorenzana, Military VIPs, Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Andres C. Sintimo, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Commanding General Philippine Army, General Romeo S. Bronner Jr., Armed Forces of the Philippines, Commander, Army Reserve Command, Major General Fernando B. Felipe, Philippine Army, Group Commander 9th Regional Community Defense Group, Colonel Patricio S. Tomales, Infantry, General Staff Corps, Commanding Officer 902nd Community Defense, Zamboanga del Norte Community Defense Center, Major Eladio V. Lomantas, Civil Engineer Philippine Army, President, Jose Rizal Memorial State University System, Dr. Delinda R. Lapa, National Service Training Program Director, Dr. Richard G. Daimel, National Service Training Program Unit Head, Dr. Noel G. Lopicillo, Commandant Jose Rizal Memorial State University Reserve Officers Training Corps Unit, Major Eladio B. Lumantas, Civil Engineer Philippine Army, Assistant Commandant, Second Lieutenant Nicanor B. Omnimaga, Reserve Philippine Army, Chief Clerk, Corporal Roderick C. Aquemo, Infantry Philippine Army, Tactical Officer, Captain Cesar C. Bala, Reserve Philippine Army, Second Lieutenant Joe Peter M. Villaros, Reserve Philippine Army, Senior Tactical Non-Commissioned Officer Reservist, Admin Non-Commissioned Officer, Sergeant Journal R. Lapot, Reserve Philippine Army, Tactical Non-Commissioned Officer Reservist, Private First Class, John Roy E. Maglasang, Infantry Philippine Army, Staff Sergeant Gerald Rich H. Soto, Reserve Philippine Army, Staff Sergeant Michael Ray Elvin S. Boreros, Reserve Philippine Army, Sergeant Nancy E. Arnquist, Reserve Philippine Army, Sergeant Menard O. Comisillo, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Rodel G. Patangan, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Rich E. De La Rosa, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Charlene E. Tagapan, Reserve Philippine Army, Graduate Military Assistant, Private Adams N. Sumalpong, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Nelo B. Nagardelia, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Jefferson Paglinawan, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Rico Jack G. Tawatao, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Glenn Mark G. Olinan, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Shahara May M. Halin, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Giselle M. Pasculado, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Vincent Zubelin G. Cadano, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Ray R. Dayaw, Reserve Philippine Army, Private John Ray P. Valladares, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Joven Ray A. Sakal, Reserve Philippine Army, Private John Rich C. Cuenca, Reserve Philippine Army, Private John Paul P. Yoro, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Michelle B. Andicoy, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Vance Alistair Al Pagasian, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Mark Gel East Lagamon, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Lizelle Faith D. Carino, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Liza Claire C. Canoog, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Gisaline Eloper, Reserve Philippine Army, Private Mabel B. Sinca, Reserve Philippine Army, Brigade Corps Commander, Cadet Colonel G.P. Monte Ramos, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class, Executive Disciplinary Officer, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Roderick L. Cadorna, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class, Brigade Ace 1 Adjutant Officer, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Blaise T. Mandopig, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class, Brigade Ace 2 Intelligence Officer, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Ronel V. Bailon, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class, Brigade Ace 3 Operations Officer, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Ramil P. Samson, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class, Brigade Ace 4 Logistic Officer, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Sheila May P. Azores, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class, Brigade Ace 7 License Officer, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Jamaica East Lagodas, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class, 1st Battalion Commander, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Jomari T. Usabel, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class, 2nd Battalion Commander, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Jefford C. Firagora, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. 1st Battalion Executive Disciplinary, Cadet Major Jarmar T. Clemenia, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Battalion S1 Adjutant, Cadet Major Kathleen Rose E. Apaw, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Battalion S2 Intelligence, Cadet Major Jericho T. Usabel, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Battalion S3 Operation, Cadet Major Jason E. Hammerlin, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Battalion S4 Logistic, Cadet Major Maalona Jane B. Alfon, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Battalion S7 Liaison, Cadet Major Chenley R. Silva, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. 2nd Battalion Executive Disciplinary, Cadet Major Brian P. Banuelos, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Battalion S1 Adjutant, Cadet Major Rovelyn B. Magnawang, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Battalion S2 Intelligent, Cadet Major Hensel D. Zubrado, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Battalion S3 Operation, Cadet Major Remark O. Lakay, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Battalion S4 Logistic, Cadet Major Mary Joy C. Maghinay, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Battalion S7 License, Cadet Major Ruela Bernadette B. Kindog, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Mary Chris E. Lidama, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Aaron G. Colasang, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Stephen J. F. Taclian, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Juvenal P. Catilo, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Christian G. Sardin, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Aryan Faye N. Palangan, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Baby Janela G. Cañete, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Geno E. Cardinella, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Kate O. Dampaila, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Remark East Anyo, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Brittany D. Again, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Rickman V. Cabana, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Major Margin Al Proceso, Reserve Officers Training Corps First Class. Cadet Captain Lister V. D. Cab, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Richard S. Zamaras, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Joseph P. Miral, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Erwin T. Palomares, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Aurelio Al Flores Jr., Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Kent Troy F. Magano, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Ruben Benson E. Sumandoran, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Jefferson N. Makilin, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Bliss Jason H. Enning, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain May Angel S. Cunato, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Raymond B. Bemos, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain John Kenneth B. Cerdo, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Jonathan D. Gumanan, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Kevin M. Delicano, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Lynch Kel S. Abapo, Reserve Officers Training Corps Second Class. Cadet Captain Lavelle Jane T. Magensay, Reserve Officer Training Corps Second Class. Military professionalism. Men who adopt the profession of arms submit their own free will to the law of perpetual constraints of their own code. They reject the right to live where they choose, to say what they think, to address as they like. From the moment to become soldiers, it needs but an order to settle them in this place, to move them to that, to separate them from their families and dislocate their normal lives. In the world of command, you must rise, march, ranch, endure bad weather, and go out without sleep or food. Be isolated in some distant post. Work until they drop. They have chased to be the master of their own feet. If they drop on their tracks, their ashes shall be scattered. And the four winds that is all apart, parcel of their job, pledge of loyalty. If you work for a man, in heaven's name, for him speak well of him and stand by the institution that they represent, remember. And once loyalty is worth a pan of stubbornness, if you must growl, condemn and internally find fault, why not resign your position? And when you are in the outside, dumb to your heart's contents, but as long as you are a part of this institution, do not condemn it. If you do, first high wind that comes along will blow you away, and probably you will never know why. Military courtesy, an act of politeness, civility, and respect that a personnel in the military organization occurred to one order. Military discipline is a state of order and obedience existing within a command. Military leadership, it is the process of influencing men in such a manner as to accomplish the mission. Military service, what you see, what you hear, when you leave, levator. Salute is the highest form of courtesy. 11 general orders. First, to take charge of this post and all government property in view. Second, to walk my post in a military manner, keeping always on alert and observing everything that takes place in sight or hearing. Third, to report or violation orders I am instructed to enforce. Fourth, to repeat all calls from post more distance from the guardhouse than my own. Fifth, to quit my post only when properly relieved. Sixth, to receive, obey, and pass on the sentinel who relieves me all orders from the commanding officer, officer of the day, and non-commissioned officer of the guard only. 7. To talk to no one except in line of duty. 8. To give the alarm in case of fire or disorder. 9. To all the commander of the guard in any case not covered by the instruction. 10. To salute all officers, colors and standard, not case. To be especially last. To be especially watchful at night and during the time of challenging. To challenge all person on or near my post and to allow no one to pass without proper authority.